Welcome to Get the Facts with Folan, episode 33. Guys, we're headed back to South America, the best continent on this planet. Going to be taking you to Argentina today, specifically Buenos Aires, the capital city. And yeah, I'm excited to take you guys there. It is a very, very fun country and a very fun city to see. I made my way. I've been to Argentina twice now. A year ago, I was making my way back to the United States from Antarctica. And so we are waiting for my buddy to join. I just told him we're going to do round 2 of this, technical difficulties, so fingers crossed it works now. I feel like everybody in Argentina is on their internet just like everyone was in Paraguay 2 days ago. So, all right, he is in. Let's try this again. Fingers crossed.
Hey,
Let's see if this works. So far, so good.
yeah, I just heard you. It's exactly that. Everybody's on the internet, so it's slow at times, crashes.
No, it's all good. We ran into the same issue in Paraguay 2 days ago, so it's all right. It's pretty constant around the world. But introduce yourself, say your name, where you are, and how we met. Let's try this again.
Right, so my name is Agus. I'm from Patagonia, but I'm in Buenos Aires right now. And we met through couchsurfing. You were actually my very first guest.
Number one, guys, it was so much fun. Like I mentioned, it was on my way back from Antarctica, and we had a blast. You're so knowledgeable about Argentina in general, but in Buenos Aires. I mean, the stuff I learned from you in the few days I was there was very, very impressive.
And
so,
you actually attended one of my cocktail classes. Remember?
Heck yeah, I do. That was so much fun. Yeah, if you enjoy drinks, I mean, who doesn't enjoy drinking? Do one of his cocktail classes when you get to Buenos Aires. It's a fantastic time, and he's so knowledgeable. I mean, real quick, tell everyone your travel resume, because you've been on a trip around the world as well.
Yeah, like some 3 years ago or so, I had been saving up for a big trip around the world. I saved it up for like 8 years or so, and then I went on a year-long trip around the world. I mean, literally around. Started in New York, and then in New York, it was like some 40 countries or so, I think, and by myself.
You crushed it, and you made a book about it, and it was fun going through, and we really bonded over going to some of the same spots. Incredible photography as well. So no, very, very neat. Guys, this is one of the reasons why we stay connected. We had that instant connection over travel, and so yeah, let's dive into COVID-19. How is COVID-19 affecting Buenos Aires and Argentina as a whole?
Well, we were going through a pretty big economic crisis, like the worst one in the last 25 years or so. So it was a really tough call, but the president decided when we had our first death and we were barely hitting the 10 case mark to go into full quarantine, and everything went on lockdown. So now everything is on lockdown. It's such a big country that it differs depending on the city and the provinces. But Buenos Aires and the greater Buenos Aires area is where the most cases are. So this is where the biggest restrictions are. Everything's on lockdown. Nothing's open except for supermarkets, markets, grocery stores, pharmacies, and some services that have been deemed essential. Yeah, and then restaurants and bars were closed during the first week or 10 days or so, but now they are doing delivery. Yeah. Both they are doing delivery service and sort of like vouchers for the future. So now you buy a beer and then you redeem it once the quarantine is over. Yeah. And then another thing that's happened is we have 3 or 4 services that are like a mixture between Uber Eats and a courier service, like messaging.
Yep.
So those are the only ones that are on the street, and people are buying everything and sending stuff from one house to another. So maybe like my mom bakes something and then she sends it to me on one of these guys, like bikes or bicycles.
Wait, they will
and
do
especially
that. They'll pick up homemade stuff and bring it across the town.
Well, you have the option of the courier service that's actually absolutely for anything. So if you want, you could send like a book for a friend has a book, you can send, and he can send it on the bicycle.
No way. Okay. That's cool.
Yeah, but the thing is, so many people are using it that it collapses. On Saturday night, we wanted to do like a date with my girlfriend, like a date inside the house. We spent like 2.5 hours trying to order because everything was down.
Wow. So literally everybody and their brother is using these apps. Are the police, how's the government enforcing this quarantine? Are they writing tickets? Are people getting arrested
Yeah.
if they're caught outside?
Fines. Well, actually, they check IDs to see if you're actually near your house.
Hmm.
The police and every other force, like National Guard and the Army and everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, you get fines. That some people have had their cars taken away, and a few
Wow.
people, but the most egregious examples have are in house arrest. Like people who, like there was one guy who was a millionaire and who broke quarantine 14 times. He was caught 14 times,
Yeah.
and he posted bail for like 10 million. Well, 10 million pesos would be like something like close, a little less than like $700,000. And he made
Jeez.
bail, and then he went out again after paying bail.
Come
So
on.
so that's the that's the part, like
Oh,
the sort of like the onion news part. Like there
yeah.
was a guy who wanted to go out, who came from Brazil, and he was carrying like a bunch of surfboards because he was a
Uh-huh.
surfer, and he was like christened the quarantine breaking surfboarder. And yeah, so it's like like the funny news.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. That is ridiculous. Are you able to go outside? Like, are there only certain days you're allowed to go grocery shopping, or do you kind of have your freedom in that sense? You can leave when you want.
uh, a lot of people are actually trying to be responsible and
Yeah.
don't go out, and the media and like journalists and influencers and everybody st- ask people to stay at home, and people are
As they
being
should.
pretty,
Right,
and
right.
most people are being pretty responsible. I try to go out every 2 days, maybe three, but
Yeah.
I've heard people who haven't gone out in 10 days.
But has like to buy groceries, is there only one day a week that you're allowed to go, or you have your free, like there's no certain hours that you can go, or the government hasn't mandated like certain days for you to
Not
go outside? You have okay.
not in Buenos Aires, and not yet. I think it's something they are trying to, they're thinking about implementing. But for places like the bank,
Mhm.
actually starting next week, you'll have to get a like an appointment through the internet to go to the bank,
Interesting.
because
Yeah.
because especially there was this whole fiasco a couple of days ago when it was paying day, and a lot of people went, and especially a lot of older people went because they are the
Yeah.
less tech savvy, and,
Right.
uh, and there were hundreds of people in the streets and lining up for banks, and it was a disaster. So then they decided
Yeah.
to uh, double down on everything.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Okay. One other question. Let's get to travel. Have you been to a grocery store? What is selling out in Buenos Aires? What's flying off the shelves?
I'm sorry, what are they selling out?
So at the grocery stores, what products are selling out the quickest?
Uh, no, there's no the thing with the toilet paper and all that. Oh,
Yeah.
you know what's sold out? That's weird. Yeast, because everybody is
Ah,
is learning to bake bread. It's become sort of like a meme, and people say, like, people who have yeast say it's like a powder gold, and some people are trying to bake bread with, yeast is everywhere. So, and some people
yeah.
are trying to bake bread with wild yeast. So they say there was this whole thing about raisins, and if raisins could attract yeast, and you could make bread with those yeast. But yeah, actually, my girlfriend started baking bread, and she's baking kick-ass sourdough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No way. So yeast is the gold in Argentina. That is too funny. Well, all right, let's enough about COVID-19. Let's dive into travel. Argentina is such a massive country. There are a lot of different regions, a lot of different states, a lot of amazing things to see. But in your opinion, what are the top three must-see spots when someone gets to Argentina?
Well, I'm extremely biased because I'm from Patagonia, born and raised, and I was actually born and raised right next to the Perito Moreno Glacier, which
Awesome.
is
Oh yeah, beautiful spot.
it's the biggest glacier in the world that it's still advancing, that it periodically advances and changes and breaks and like pushes through to the shore.
Hmm.
And people come from all over the world to see it, just to see. People come Buenos Aires, the glacier, Buenos Aires, back home. So that's definitely my top pick.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. It's breathtaking. I've been there 30 times, and every time I go, I still can't believe it. And you can
It's
actually
and
hike on it.
that's
You can
right.
actually walk on it,
Yes.
hike on it, and
Yeah.
it's such a unique experience. You get to a point where everything you see, like in 360, it's just ice.
It is wild, guys. That is a must do. I totally agree. I did not hike on it, but I went to it. There's a viewing station, and it's almost impossible to comprehend just how big it is until ships will do small little cruises close to it, and the ships look like ants. And so this glacier is incredibly huge. It stretches forever into the mountains. So, no, I agree that that is a must see spot when you get to Argentina.
Yeah,
It's the
and
blues, the
it's
hues of blue.
also
Yeah. Go ahead.
it's also near a place called El Chalten. That's one of the hiking capitals of the world, and it's
Yeah.
also well the Patagonia logo, the clothing brand.
Uh-huh.
Have you seen it? It's like a
Exactly.
black
That's the
mountain
mountain
with a
range.
blue. Well,
Yeah.
it's that's the mountain, the Chalten, and it's also near Torres del Paine. That a lot of people go there in Chile. So a lot of people will do the three places and hike, and it's on my travels, when I told people I was from Patagonia, they would marvel and say like, "Whoa, Patagonia! It sounds like such a magical, faraway place, such a mystical place." It's because of these three spots. Like this is the center of it.
Yeah.
So I'd say
Yeah.
that's definitely my top pick.
And guys, I gotta say, like, I've hiked. I love hiking. I've hiked all over the world. Patagonia, hands down, is the best hiking on the planet. You can't beat it. And so the Torres del Paine versus El Chatan, right? One's in Chile, one's in Argentina. They are different experiences, both just as beautiful. I would say if you're looking more of like a 3, 4, 5 day out in the wilderness type trek, do Torres del Paine in Chile because you need to camp. I mean, there are places that you can like refugios that you can stay in, but El Chatan you're able, if you want to do day trips into all the famous hiking spots as well. Again, you can disappear in the wilderness as well if you want to get further out. But if you want to sleep in a bed each night, El Chatan is a great spot to truly hike, 10, 15, 20 miles in a day and truly see it all. But the best part about Patagonia is the water is so pure and so fresh. You literally drink it straight from the streams. It's my favorite water on the planet and so refreshing after hiking hours at a time. So Patagonia, #1 hiking spot in the world, hands down. It's not overhyped. It's going to blow your mind no matter which side you go to. I've done both. I love them both equally. So definitely worth checking out. Great number 2.
I I think it's comparable to Nepal and Annapurna. The Annapurna Trail in Nepal would be the only
Yes,
thing that maybe rivals it.
close. I was just there. It's beautiful, but true. They a lot of similarities, definitely. But I don't know. There's just something magical about Patagonia. I think it's because getting there. It's quite a journey flying down that. Like when you realize how far south you are on the planet, and it's just the wildlife you see, and even the plant growth. It's such an extreme. Like Annapurna, yes, it's a very good hiking spot. It's an amazing spot in Nepal, but it's not as extreme. In Patagonia, you can get 4 seasons in a day. I mean, no joke. The winds can be some of the craziest winds you'll get. So it is an extreme place to go. It's not like don't get me wrong. It's not an easy spot by any means, but it's worth going to. And so, I mean, again, Nepal,
It,
not easy as well. But when it comes to the wind and just I don't know, just I think in my opinion, it's #1. Annapurna might be close second, but Patagonia is just so far beyond any
yeah,
hiking spots I've been to the rest of the world. So I love it.
the thing is we're just so far away from everything. It's really difficult to grasp how far away. It's like a 14-hour flight to anywhere. And
Yep.
while Nepal, it's still far away. Maybe it's like I don't know. I'm not sure, but maybe it might be like a 5-hour flight from Europe, 6 hour. It's
Exactly.
not
And
that
then
far away
while
from
you
the
fly
rest
into
of the world.
Kathmandu, you take a 6-hour bus ride and it's a very big city versus, El Chatan. I mean, sure, I would consider it more of a smaller village versus the cities you find in Nepal.
There-
So
There's there's barely 500 people on the off season living there.
yeah. So that's what truly makes it unique. I mean, guys, it's you in nature. And sometimes you won't see people on the trails depending on which one you do. So highly, highly, highly recommend getting to Patagonia when you get to South America. All right. What's number
Number
three?
two. Oh no, wait,
That was
number
two,
two.
right? Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
number
Number
two.
two.
Iguazu Falls. You know
Yes.
the waterfalls that are on the frontier with Brazil. Well, people who come to Argentina either go to the glacier or to the falls.
Yeah.
And the falls, you can see them better from the Brazilian side, but from the Argentine side, you are like right there, and you can
Exactly.
sail next to them, and they are massive, massive, massive. They are, well, I'm not sure, but they might be bigger than Niagara.
I think they're some of the biggest falls in the world. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like Niagara, Victoria Falls in Africa,
Yeah.
and this, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
exactly.
well, no, no. Like, have you seen the waterfalls in Iceland? They've got nothing on this one.
Oh, no, exactly. I haven't. That's one country in Europe I haven't been to yet. I will get there eventually. But Iguazu, and guys, like you said, you are in the waterfall. I mean, you're hiking on it when you're on we talked about this in the Brazilian episode. Brazilian side, it's beautiful. It's the panoramic shots that everyone loves to take photos of. If you want to get wet, if you want to feel the force of this river water, you do the Argentina side. If you go to Iguazu, you have to do both sides. You know, it's an injustice to yourself if you don't, but
And
spend a full day on the Argentina side.
and the noise is deafening. You can't talk to the
Yeah,
people you are next to. If you stay there for more than a few hours, you end up with a headache.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just stunning. Yeah, and if you're super adventurous, you can hop on a boat. The boats will drive you under the falls. You get absolutely soaked. So it's one of those natural wonders of the world that you need to see. You really need to see. So what is number three?
I don't think there's another place that equals these two in terms of how awesome and massive and
Right.
unbelievable. So I'd say Buenos Aires because I love Buenos Aires, but I think it's a city that you could stay here for 2 weeks and still miss out on things. It just has
Yeah.
so much going on every single day of the week. There are so many scenes and so many things happening. Um, it's a really unique city because it's like they call it the Paris of Latin America because
Yeah.
it's really really Parisian in terms of architecture. Like it's a really interesting what's the culture pot blending pot? What's the word when a lot of things
Yeah.
go together in a
Melting
pot?
pot. Melting pot.
Melting pot.
Exactly.
So it's a city that's at the same time like French and Spanish and Italian and Polish and English, but at the same time Latin American. And there are it's a beautiful city, beautiful in terms of architecture. There are a lot of things going on. Um, I don't know. I love Buenos Aires, and what we were saying a couple of minutes ago about us being so far away. We are really really far away from everything, and yet we still get things, and we're always in Argentina. We're always in the middle of a crisis, either in the middle, about to, or going out, and yet it's cyclical every 10 years, and yet things arrive to Buenos Aires, and we take them and we make our own. So there's always things going on, and then you could. I've been living here for 15 years, and I haven't finished exploring it yet.
There's so much. When I came through a year ago, I had 9 days, and I was like, wow, that's typically I don't spend that long in a city. It wasn't enough. There's so many different neighborhoods in Buenos Aires, and so many different restaurants, and like each neighborhood has a totally different vibe. My biggest goal, there's two major football or soccer, depending on what country you're from, teams in the city. There's River Plate, and then there's Boca Juniors. And my first time I'd gone to a River Plate match, I had to see a Boca Junior match when I was there, and luckily made that dream come true. It is crazy. And guys, these teams hate each other, absolutely hate each other. Like if you wear the wrong colors in one of their neighborhoods, you will get heckled. And it's like, do not wear the jersey of the other team in the other neighborhoods because you will run into trouble. But they're like definitely worth trying to catch a match at either one of those stadiums because they're very, very historic. And it's just, again, we talk about this in Central and South America. Every episode we go there. The football or the soccer is just, it's a way of life. And in some cases, almost like life or death, the way these fans cheer. So worth doing that when you get to Buenos Aires. Now, I totally agree. What a fun, it's one of the best cities in the world. I would say it's top five on my list. I absolutely fell in love with it. It's a fun spot.
Well, when I came back from my trip, I think I went to something close to 130 cities, I guess.
Hmm.
And people would ask me which was my favorite out of them all, and I would say Buenos Aires. Even when I was traveling and when I came back, because the more I traveled and the more cities I saw, the more I valued and recognized what we had here.
Exactly. No, exactly. Sometimes it takes leaving to realize how good you have it back home.
Yeah,
Totally. Absolutely.
definitely, definitely.
So let's dive into food. There's some amazing food in Argentina. In your opinion, what are some of the best dishes, the must try when people get there?
We don't have such we don't have a very varied cuisine. Uh,
Hmm.
asado, like meat.
Yep.
Like meat is the number one thing. The number one thing every foreigner will try. The thing we're world famous for. So yeah, and the thing that when we can and when we're not going through an economic crisis like the one we're going through right now, the thing
Hmm.
we'll have once a day, once a week, is a really big barbecue. It's like a social institution on Sundays, especially Sunday for lunch or Saturday
Hmm.
night, and we eat pretty much like everything, uh,
It's
like
so
from the cow.
good. It's so good. Like, guys, I've worked in a butcher shop way back when. Being from Texas, we have some very good steak. Like, we love beef. The best beef in the world. You want the best steak you'll ever get in your life? Go to Argentina. Now, the best one I had, there's some good stuff in Buenos Aires, but it was Salta, Argentina, where I had a steak that just absolutely blew my mind. It's a steak that I will never forget. But yeah, I mean, hands down, for some, I don't know how you guys do it. You just have the happiest cows in the world, which you can taste how happy those cows are. It's some very, very, very good.
Well, they they have a really big surface area in which to pasture.
Yeah, yeah. So,
So that
oh,
would be so that's like the given, right?
exactly.
But well, another thing is empanadas. And the funny thing with empanadas is, well, they're the meat empanada is like the quintessential, the definite empanada, but they're
Yeah.
pretty much stuck with anything. But the thing with the meat ones is that every province claims to make the best one, right?
Yes.
And especially in the north, there's a really big rivalry between the provinces in the north. So some of them use raisins, some of them use olives, some of them use potato, and the ones, and they think that uh, it's a blasphemy using the thing the other provinces use. So the ones that use potatoes say using raisins is a travesty, and the ones who use raisins say no, the travesty is using olives.
Right,
And it's
right, right.
they're all good anyway.
Oh, they're all phenomenal. Lots to choose from. There's a I'll put it down here when we put this on YouTube. But there's a market specifically in Buenos Aires that has some of the best empanadas I've ever had. I mean, like you said, they're different all over the country. When we were in Patagonia after hiking El Chatan, there's a spot right off the trail. You can grab empanadas. It's a perfect snack, perfect meal, depending on what type you want. There's so many varieties. For those of you that struggle making a decision, you're going to buy way too many because there's that many to choose from. Are there any
And
other?
then
Uh-huh.
yeah, another thing is so those would be like the tourist must have.
Right. Right.
But then another thing we eat a lot is milanesa, that you call it a schnitzel.
This one. Uh-huh.
Breaded. So that's like our mac and cheese. That's our go-to. That's the food we eat at home. And when you don't know what to do, when you're lazy, like we've had milanesa 3 nights in a row with my girlfriend now.
Have mastered the
So
cooking. Yes.
so
Oh
it's
man.
just they're so easy to do. And when you buy them and you bread them, or you buy them already breaded, you just put them in
Yeah.
the freezer and you buy by the kilo. So you have like 20, and it's just like putting a couple in the oven, and that's it.
Super easy. Yeah. 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 Are there any weird foods, any strange foods like that would surprise people that you guys eat in Argentina?
Maybe some parts of the asado. So we
Okay.
have something that's called morcilla, that it's blood sausage, sort of like the Scottish
Mm,
haggis.
very good. Yes.
So that would be one, and maybe uh, yeah, some people, but it's something very niche, eating testicles, like
Ah,
the bull's testicles in asados.
Right, right. Oh wow. So they will. So they just grill it. It is part of the asado. Oh, come on, internet. You were doing so well. Dang it. Fingers crossed, guys. Sorry, everybody in South America is clearly using the internet right now. Uh-oh. I hope we haven't lost him. Fingers crossed he comes back. If you're just tuning in, we are currently in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Such a phenomenal, lots of activities, crazy neighborhoods. All right, he has left. I'm assuming his internet has crashed again. So let's see if he can see this, and maybe he will do cell phone data so we can finish up this interview because we're so close. We only have a few questions left. If you're watching, just curious, please comment below. Where are you guys? It's fun to see what parts of the world people are watching from. Also, let's, okay, good. He just requested to be in. Let's hope he's on cell phone data. Fingers crossed this works.
Hey.
Perfect.
Okay, so I came. My house is like a bunker. Like the walls are really thick. So I went to the only place where there's a data signal.
Gotcha.
So I'm sorry for the weird lighting and the weird sound maybe, but this is it. It's just that
no worries at all.
Well, maybe you can upload it in 2 parts.
Exactly. No, we're fine. We're fine. We're still live, so it's all good. So let's dive. We've got a few questions left. Let's dive into stereotypes. What stereotypes about Argentina are true, and what are what stereotypes are false?
Well, the thing is, in Argentina, everything is centered around Buenos Aires. So a lot of things that define what it is to be an Argentine are actually what people from Buenos Aires are, right? So there's this thing where they say that Argentines are very cocky, very egotistic, and also, but that's a thing from Buenos Aires, not really from the rest of the provinces. But the thing is, there are 24 provinces, and there are 40 million people living there, but there are living in Buenos Aires, 3 million that define the whole thing.
Interesting.
So there's the contrast there, like the clash. There's also this thing where it's something that's, I think it's true, but it's one of our national defining traits, the thing of being hustlers.
Yeah.
Right? Sort of like a little bit of con man, which goes with hand in hand with the cockiness.
Yeah.
Right? And that's probably definitely true. Like there's this thing, Maradona, right? The football player.
Yes. Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
Right. So there's this really famous football game where we beat England right after we had lost the war to them, and he scored 2 goals in that game. One goal is considered to be one of the best goals in all time. He just dribbled past 10 people.
Yeah. And
the other goal, he scored it with his hand. He jumped and sort of like head-butted the ball, but he was using his hand, right?
Punched it.
And a lot of people celebrate that as something hustler would do, right? Like being creative, like something desirable. So that's like a trait we have, sort of like a nation that we value, but it's not a good thing. But nonetheless, a lot of people consider it to be like sort of like street smart, like savvy.
Definitely. Yeah. No, great examples. I'd forgotten about that goal, guys. YouTube that. Check that out if you haven't seen it. It's a very controversial goal, but still counted, which is wild. So what is your favorite thing about your country? What do you love most about Argentina?
Well, the thing I love the most is a thing a lot of people who leave the country say they miss the most is how close we are with one another. Like how much we are close with our friends and our family. Here we kiss, and even men kiss each other. You meet somebody like your girlfriend's father or a friend's boyfriend, and the first time you greet them, you will greet them with a kiss, sometimes with a hug. We hug all the time. We're like very physical, and there's also this thing where we are very spontaneous. So maybe I'll say like, "Hey, I'm 2 blocks away from your house. Can I drop by?" And you drop by and you have dinner, and you end up like talking until 4 in the morning, and then people go to other countries where, like, I don't know, say Sweden, where you have to arrange having dinner with your friends 3 months in advance. right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was in Japan last year, and I felt really weird, you know, like sort of like alienated, like everything felt
Hmm.
eerie. And then the day I came here, I was walking down the street and I saw a girl inside a house and a boy standing on the sidewalk, and they kissed, and there was uh, what do you call it? Like the rails on the window,
Hmm.
and they kissed through the rails. Him standing outside, she standing inside,
Yeah.
and then I saw people hugging on a corner, and I was like, yeah, that's what was missing. In Japan, people won't even look at each other,
Right.
and that's the thing we miss, the being close. Like maybe you'll meet somebody at a, I don't know, at a party, like a birthday party, and you'll
Hmm.
talk, and they'll tell you their most intimate secrets, and you'll talk for 3 hours with somebody you've just met. So
Yeah.
that's something I really like.
No, I agree, and
Yeah.
it's like I would say they're very passionate people. Like as you mentioned before, Argentina is very far away from a lot of things, right? Like and even I think the biggest thing that surprised me, well, I guess this would be for the next question, but it's the passion when it comes to sports, the passion when it comes to concerts. Like a lot of musical artists don't make it all the way down to Argentina. It's just a very far place for them to go to. So a lot of Argentinians are waiting, sometimes their whole life, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, for their favorite band to come through. So when these bands come through, all the fans will be going to this concert. So I was very lucky to go to Lollapalooza for a day last year, and it was magical. Like I've been to, concerts. I went to one in the Philippines. I've been to a ton in the United States. But the passion that the Argentinians had at this music festival gave you goosebumps. I mean, it is crazy because all of them were singing the songs. They all knew every single song. And so a lot
Not
of these
just
bands
not just the songs,
will
but
feel.
also the sounds. So people will do, like, in football they will do like, oh, like
Yeah,
that, and they'll do the same,
exactly.
oh with the instruments.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I, yeah,
So,
I actually once went to the Strokes, their first show here,
uh-huh.
and people were singing everything, the bass lines, the guitars, the solo, and then there was one solo that was too quick to do the like that.
Yeah.
And Julian, the singer, was like, "You guys suck. You can even this solo." There's a there's this really cool compilation series on YouTube called "Argentinian Audiences Are the Best in the World,"
Yeah.
where it's like something like 3 hours of footage from everything, like from Iron Maiden to Madonna, and people singing for everything, like. And the musicians can't believe it. They laugh.
It,
They cheer the people on. Yeah.
it's next level. I mean, it's a full-on experience. And you realize just how special that moment is. Like all the people at those concerts want to make it special. It's going to be something they remember the rest of their lives because that band may never come back. So it's just
Radiohead, between their last show and the previous one, 17 years.
see, exactly. And so that's the thing. In the United States, we're so lucky. Oh, bands come through all the time. You could like, we'll catch them next year. Argentina, you don't have that option. As you said, it might be 17 years. So,
Well,
guys,
actually,
go.
I was gonna go to see the Wu-Tang Clan.
Uh-huh.
I love Wu-Tang Clan. I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah,
And we're gonna come here for the first time, all of them, all nine of them. And now it was canceled, and that's it. I'll never see them again.
exactly.
Because until they can reschedule and come back here and everything, I've already made peace with the fact that they're not gonna come, and I'll never see them.
Yeah, yeah. That's what's so great. So, guys, I mean, be grateful if if you live in a city where bands come through almost yearly, because it's not the case in Argentina. And if you find yourself in Argentina, try to get to a concert or some sort of musical venue to see just how passionate these citizens are. All right, last question for you. What's one fact about Argentina that would surprise people?
I think the amount of influence Italy has had on us, because we are a country that has had a lot of immigration,
Hmm.
Polish, French, British, but especially, Spaniard, like all of the rest of Latin America, but especially Italian. There was a point during the turn of the century, like 1905, 1906, where they said that ships would set from Italy either to New York or to Buenos Aires. And at that point, 2 out of every 3 citizens in Buenos Aires were immigrants, and
Wow.
a lot of them were Italian, and they impacted so much. Like we speak because we speak like Italians, Italian speaking Spanish.
Yep.
People, Spanish speakers around the world make fun of us because we speak singing, and we use our hands a lot, and basically all of our slang is Italian. So
Hmm.
instead of saying work, the work for work is trabajo, but we say laburo because it's lavoro in Italian. Or
Interesting.
the word for beer is cerveza,
Right.
but we don't say cerveza, we say birra. Birra is Italian for beer.
It's that.
And
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
our slang, and so we're hot-headed, we drive poorly, we use our hands, we're very passionate. We are the food, like we have amazing pizza, we have amazing pasta, amazing ice cream. All of that is Italian heritage. Like you'll
Hmm.
go to a random house gathering, like you get together with 10 friends, four of them will have Italian surnames.
It's wild.
And
Yeah.
not even Italians know the full extent of their influence. I've talked to Italians who had no idea.
Hmm.
Well,
Hmm.
you can listen to Italian speaking and you can understand them because they speak like us. Well, we speak like them.
Right. 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 That was too fun. And that was the part when I stayed with you. You gave me a quick walking tour. I was shocked to see how much influence there is, and yeah, I mean significant Italian influence. And so yeah, the Italians watching this, we did an Italian episode when borders opened back up. Guys, go to Buenos Aires, check it out, and see firsthand just how much your country has influenced that city.
Like,
So yeah, it's pretty wild.
like there's a thing where I guess Italians will eat pasta on Sundays. Usually pasta that's cooked by their grandmother.
Hmm.
The grandmother, saying granny, that the word granny is nonna.
No,
And
no.
people here will get together on Sundays and eat pasta cooked by the nonna, even if they're not Italian. Right?
That's incredible. Yeah.
So on Sundays, so on Sunday, like for lunch, you either have asado or
Yep.
pasta by your grandmother.
Interesting. What that's neat. Just the value of family as well, being able to make that family time and the importance of it. So very good fun fact. Very surprised. I do. There's one other thing we need to mention because I think it's very big part of Argentinian culture is the drinks and specifically Fernet as well as mate. Right. When
Okay.
it comes to alcoholic drink, Fernet is very popular all across Argentina. Oh dang! Do you enjoy Fernet?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Argentines either love it or hate it, but it's extreme. It's like the sports thing. You either love it and you
Yep.
want to drink it every day, or you hate it and you can't stand it. But we actually have the only Fernet bottling plant and processing plant outside of Italy, and it produces like 10 times what the other one produces, and we drink it all here.
Yeah, it's guys. You can't go out without trying. Like as a foreigner, when you get to the country, guaranteed any night out you'll be offered a Fernet and Coke. It's one of those things that you have to try. I wasn't a huge fan. It's weird, but worth trying out when you get there.
Well,
What about? Oh, go ahead.
not just for but our whole drinking culture has been really influenced, well, again, by Italians. So we
Yeah.
drink vermouth, Italian vermouth. We drink a lot of Campari. Do you know Campari, the bitter orange liqueur?
Yes, I think we had that the night you were. Yeah, you used that the night I was there.
So those three things, like you'll go to a house party and they'll have
Hmm.
beer. The second thing they'll have is Fernet, and the third thing they'll have is Campari to drink with orange juice. And
Wow.
outside, in the rest of the world, the only people who drink Campari and Fernet are bartenders or people
Yeah.
who are really into cocktails.
Yeah.
No, nobody will casually buy a bottle of Campari in the U.S.
Yeah. It's not a thing. No, not at all. And what about mate? Let's talk about mate.
Well, mate, more than a drink, it's like a social institution. It has
Yeah.
so many rules surrounding it, and so many. So poor people will drink mate because it's cheap and it fills their stomach, and rich people will drink it because it's associated with owning land, like having really big like farms and horses, and it's really associated with polo and horse owning and horse racing. And students will drink mate while they're studying, and people who work in offices because it's the perfect office thing to do. And it has so many rules. Like the person who's preparing it and pouring it, it's like his role or her role is sacred, and it's almost like a recognition of them saying, "You're really good at doing this. Please do it." And you'll share it, and you always share, and you don't clean it. And somebody offering you a mate is like offering you like it's like a pipe of peace. You know,
I was
like
gonna
in
say
Indian,
exactly,
the
exactly.
peace pipe of
Yep, peace
well,
pipe. Yep,
it's almost somebody would offer you a mate and rejecting it. It's almost like an insult because they're opening their arms for you.
exactly.
So, and
Yep,
then you drink it. You drink it when you are drinking with a lot of people. You drink it in a specific order, right? So, like if you're sitting
exactly.
around the table, it's around the table. But then if somebody goes up and leaves or comes or whatever, the person who's pouring will keep that order and will go to look for the other person and come back. And some people like it sweet and some people like it bitter. So sometimes there are two mates going around, and like the ultimate gesture of love. After some time, the yerba mate, the tea,
Yeah.
the leaves lose their flavor. But sometimes you're having a conversation with a person, and it's so good, and you don't want to stop it, that you continue drinking it, even though it doesn't have any taste anymore, and it's bad, and the mate is bad, but you
No
don't want to stop
way.
it. So, like a gesture of love is drinking a bad mate.
The but gesture of love is drinking a bad mate. I love it.
Yeah,
Absolutely love it,
definitely.
guys. It's very easy to see people from Argentina when you're traveling because no joke, they will travel with mate. It is that much of their culture that just like a lot of we're joking Canadians bring maple syrup with them. Australians will have Vegemite. It's very very popular for people from Argentina to travel with
Well,
mate. So we're
yeah,
trying, and if you're lucky enough to join a mate circle, do not decline. Join in the fun because it's pretty neat.
not just us, because people from Uruguay and Paraguay also
Yeah.
drink a lot. And there's this stereotype that people from Uruguay always have the thermos under their armpit, so they're like this. And
Yeah.
there's the joke, and well, it's not actually a joke because I've seen people do it that they can tie the shoelaces with the thermos under their arm and the mat in their hand, and they can still do it.
That's amazing. Oh man. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. It's great to see you. Glad we could to reconnect. Real quick, what is your message to the world? What would you like to say to the world?
Uh, I think that. Are you familiar with the concept of FOMO?
Como? Yep.
FOMO, yeah, for those who aren't, it means fear of missing out. And basically, it means when you're seeing people on social media doing a lot of things you're not doing and feeling anxiety because of that.
Yep.
Like you're seeing somebody at a party, and then somebody at a museum, somebody cooking,
Right.
and you would have thought that now FOMO wouldn't apply because we're all at home. But then you see people who are exercising and cooking and learning a language and doing yoga and cleaning. And sometimes I don't know. I haven't been able to do a lot of things.
Oh no! Not the time for the internet to cut out. Dang it. Fingers crossed. Let's try to get him back. Oh, I wonder if he ran. Oh, you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay. So you were
Okay,
saying.
so that was so that it's okay going through the quarantine without really being productive. Like we're doing our best, and nobody's gonna sort of like rate us or grade us once we're done and say like, oh, you didn't read enough books and you didn't exercise enough and you didn't get out of bed on this day and this day. Um, it's not vacations, so we are not gonna read as much as you read on vacation. You're not gonna watch as many movies as you would have done. So just to be kind to each other, but also to be kind to ourselves and allow ourselves to be sad and to be depressed or to be non-productive or to eat like shit and sleep like shit or whatever,
Exactly.
because we're going through something that's unique. It's comparable. I mean, you can only compare it to, I don't know, a world war or the Great Depression or something like that in terms of how
Exactly.
it affects the psyche of the world.
No, totally.
So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I read a lot. I really like reading. I read like a book a week. I haven't been able to read
Yeah.
anything since the pandemic started. I've read a couple stories here and there, a couple articles, but I can't read a book, and it's okay. I've come to peace to I've accepted the fact that maybe I'll go through 2 months without having read anything, and it'll be okay. I won't have disappointed anyone.
No,
So that's the thing.
exactly. Exactly. This is your time. Enjoy it, right? However you want to. And I think another thing is always just check in on your friends. You really don't know what people are going through in certain time. I mean, like there are people that are stranded in other countries without their loved ones. And so I think now more than ever, it's important to, I mean, sure that the human contact is different because it's now through a screen, But check in. Make sure your friends are okay. Like, if you haven't reconnected with one of your long-lost friends, now is the perfect time. Why not send a message just to check in on them? And it's a good, like, everyone has time. It's so funny. There was a meme I saw that now when people call each other or talk, there's no way to really end a call, right? Because, you know, usually like, oh, I've got something to go do. A lot of people don't have that much to do in quarantine. So, guys, reconnect with those old friends from high school or childhood and just check in on them. But I agree with you.
Especially people who are spending this, the people who are doing this alone, because I'm here with my girlfriend and she's really helped me with keeping my sanity, or the days where I'm lazy or I can't get out of bed, and she'll cook and she'll clean. But people who are alone, I have no idea how hard that must be.
No, exactly. Yeah. So, with that, what an episode. Thanks so much. I'm glad we got through the internet issue, and it worked out perfectly. No, it's very, very good.
Thanks for the understanding, and thanks for inviting me, for having me. It's,
absolutely. No, you really made a huge impact on my life.
I was looking forward to this my whole day. Like, you know, like every day you have one thing. It's like this day, this will happen. Even if it is just like cooking a meal or cleaning something, well, this was the thing for my day.
Well, you crushed it. Thank you so much for taking the time, and it's really good to see you. And I hope sooner rather than later we can have another reunion. I will be coming back through Argentina again. There's some scuba diving I need to get back to, so we'll catch up. I know you always have a place to visit. No matter where we end up, you got a place to stay.
Definitely. So, well, have a good one. Thanks.
So, guys, hey, you too. Take care, man. So, guys, with that, end of Argentina. Next episode in roughly 12 hours, we'll be taking you to Russia. We got a couple friends who'll be talking to us from Moscow. And then in 24 hours, we'll be headed back to South America, taking you to Chile and to talk about what life is like there. So with that, please, if you're watching, stay at home, stay inside, wash your hands, and together, let's get through this. Thanks again, man. Stay safe, and we'll see everyone next time.
Hopefully.